call the meeting to order. Oh, I forgot my watch. At 6:32. The Waterbury Selectboard in the Steel Room in Waterbury, Vermont. First agenda item is to review and approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to approving the previous minutes of June 16, 17, 18, and June 24th. I guess I could make the note that June 17, 18, and 24th were executive sessions for employment purposes.
I move that we approve the minutes from June 16th, 17th, 18th, and 24th as written.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I owe an apology. I skipped the public comment period. And I'd also, before I start that, I'd also like to make sure that we acknowledge in the minutes, thanking the Rotary for NQID and the amazing event for 4th of July holiday. Are there any public comments? Okay, I didn't screw up too bad. Approve the consent agenda items.
I had a question about a couple of these. The first two items there are for outside consumption permits. Usually that includes like a description of the space and how it's blocked off and stuff like that. Was that part of the application, or just didn't make it to the agenda, or what's the deal with that?
I have to defer to Woody.
I would ask our clerks who are in the,
Is one of our town clerks available to speak to this?
I can,
Introduce.
yes, hi,
Thank you.
Wes Foley. I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I may see it.
It doesn't show.
Yes, it doesn't on here, the application in the liquor site does show for Stone's Throw Pizza. I don't recall Zen Barn,
No.
neither does Beth. I can look real quick and get back to you, but I don't recall. They do
Is there a
generally-
description of where I had kind of a question on Stone's Throw in particular.
Yeah.
Where is the outdoor consumption space? You know, is there dimensions or?
Let me log into the site.
I might be able to shed some light on that. I had a discussion with the manager of Stone's Throw and the operations manager, and Cheryl was copied on it. It was about setting up 2 tables directly outside the windows, and Woody was part of this conversation too, in the same area where there are metal benches at the 2 stores going down, Casey's Bagels and Lasting Image. And they wanted to know if they could set up tables there for outdoor consumption. And then I think later in the discussion, they were talking about being able to serve wine at those dinners as well. So the zoning officer said it was okay for them to serve as long as they didn't impede the pedestrians along the sidewalk. The alcohol consumption issue is sort of a separate thing, but it's tied into the same issue.
So is this 2 tables on Stowe Street outside their front door?
2 tables on Stowe Street, seating no more than 2 people outside their front door.
2 at each table
Correct,
per table.
each seating no more than 2 people,
per
with
table.
the table space not to exceed the width of what the other public benches in similar locations in front of other in front of other businesses are measured.
Okay, so there's not anything happening out back?
No, they're taking deliveries out back, but no consumption out back.
So is there any requirement that, that be roped off?
Well, this is, I mean, I had the same, all these same questions, we all have these questions, and I'm kind of deferring to our zoning administrator.
We have no specific regulations speaking to that, and all I can recommend is that the applicants check if the state requires that alcohol is served.
I thought DLC had regulations about it.
I would guess they do, judging by Blackback's patio, judging by
Blackback and cask and cork.
cask and cork, propane has it, they all seem to have barriers.
Right, Zenbarn is roped off too, where they're outside, so.
My recollection of the application is that it did include dimensions in the outdoor area. I don't wanna say that for sure without looking back at the original application, but it strikes me as what Cheryl said in terms of the space that they were asking for.
But even Tropic has, the Tropic Brewery has ropes around, their area and some plants. I mean, I think every one that I can think of downtown is structured behind something, whether that's.
Is there any, well, I think Cheryl's capturing this in the minutes, or you just read it. Is what you read about the two tables gonna be in the minutes? Or, I don't know what you were reading, so.
I wasn't reading anything,
Okay.
I was telling you what my conversations
Wow,
with
you did that so
Stone's Throw,
eloquently.
what Stone's Throw were with regards to food service outside. We do not have specific regulations, but since folks do sit and eat things that they purchase from other businesses on the benches sitting outside, that is a parallel situation. So if we're allowing the benches, there's no reason not to allow, given the lack of explicit zoning regulations around such, no reason not to allow these
It might be coming in soon.
two-seat
Thank you.
tables
Okay.
for food service. But as for alcohol, that's a whole other can of rules.
I guess I would be more comfortable if at least the minutes of this meeting reflect those parameters that you described, because I thought that was pretty specific.
Details.
And then if there is a problem with blocking the street or something like that, we have something to turn back to as we approve this with this condition, if you will.
So just Googling it real quick, it does say that under Vermont law, it must be defined, but also must define and control permitted area with a physical barrier, such as ropes, fences, or hedges.
So we want to condition this upon requiring a roped off area, if it's going to include alcohol. That's the difference here, is because of the alcohol.
And that's what they're asking, this is an alcohol approval.
For outside consumption, right. So we're gonna have a motion to approve these items, but your motion should include a modification or a requirement for Stone's Throw to have a roped off area as Cheryl described.
Around the two tables.
Yeah. Then Zen Barn has a roped off area, so I don't think that's a question.
As long as that's,
That's what
that
they're
it
referring
is,
to.
yeah, that's still, that it is within there too.
What?
They do have one, but just that they can't leave that, so.
Right, but Evan asked, he said, I have a couple of questions, a question about a couple of these. Does that address the Zen?
That was the question about the other.
Right, okay. Are there any other
So
questions?
Zenbar needs approval to drink alcohol on the deck, but they do almost all the time.
This is alcohol.
Right,
It's not.
okay.
Basically.
It could be
This
the
is
renewal.
It's just,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, I entertain, thank you, Wes.
My only question is, I think, as Cheryl's pointed out, now does that rope extend further out past what Public Works would accept as free, clear zone?
Let's see.
Oh, do we have to talk
Let's
to
see
the
how it
Public
goes.
Works Director?
Well, I mean, we discussed the tables
That's right.
Well,
and dimensions.
I can imagine, if they put the tables on each side of their entry door, 2 stanchions with ropes next to the table, I don't think precludes then the server from coming and standing at the table
Oh,
with
yeah.
the rope in
Yeah,
front of them.
Right.
So I don't believe that will actually create any more than a negligible difference to the
In
width.
the benches.
Then we'll see how it goes, right?
Then we see how it goes.
All
I
right.
wouldn't think so, but we are dealing with inches up there as far as handicap
Yes.
access.
Yes, well, that's why we're talking about it.
Right there.
Is there a motion on the table?
Sure, I will move to approve the consent agenda with conditions on the first and second items that they be a well-defined and roped-off space.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, 6:45, permits. Is Tucker here? Great, come on up to the table.
All right,
Thank you so much for coming in.
for having me.
Tucker has an application for Go Skate Day that we had approved previously and got rained out or washed out or heated out or something.
There was a high percentage of rain, which made things a bit dangerous. We decided to pull the event, just for everybody's safety. When the weather ended up being just fine, which was a real kick. But, yeah, we'd like to try again, this Saturday, to host this event.
Questions we had last time related to activities with respect to the neighbors. I think that was,
With the music playing, so contact the neighbors, let them know this is gonna happen.
Okay.
There's the one right in front, or here,
Yep.
to the south side of the fire station and the red house on the north side of the fire station, and folks maybe across the street.
Okay.
I don't know how much it has to go.
Okay. We'll try and keep things, at a reasonable volume, but still.
But just let them know.
Yeah.
it's
Just
gonna
let 'em
happen,
know
So they hear
that.
something.
of course, I think that's the
Yeah.
big concern.
That it's a
we have.
sanctioned event versus there's just people back here,
Yeah.
playing music, which is fun. I mean, my fear is somebody's gonna have to lunch their 4-month-old to help brand new parents get some sleep and here's,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how it works,
Totally understand.
Everything's a law, so
Yeah,
be good just to give me a heads up.
can do.
Roger?
What are the hours of the event and how many people do you expect?
And the hours are gonna be 12 to 4, so a midday event. And then as far as amount of people, I don't foresee more than 80 people at most. That's being very generous, I feel. I don't know how, if the park can even host that many people at one time, just being the size it is and safety concerns and whatnot. I'd be ecstatic if that many people wanted to come, but I don't see that many people, crowding the place, so.
Do you have any parking concerns then?
I don't
Where-
believe I have any
where do they
parking
park?
concerns.
On
There's
the
2
sides?
lots.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then, I don't know if this is okay or not, but I have seen people park outside of the designated fire station parking lots, on the grass over. I know that people have parked there for horseshoe, events and things like that before. I have explicitly put on our posters, do not park in the fire station lots, making sure that that's very clear.
Good.
I talked to the fire chief a while ago about that, and he was saying, yep, as long as, we have our spaces, we're okay.
Yeah, there's 2 public parking spaces.
Right,
We
right.
don't
There's
sell-
2 lots.
Massive, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no vendors, no, any.
No.
It doesn't say list
We're,
any, so-
we're not having anybody, we're not selling anything. We have people who have donated, pizzas and things like that, but we're not selling,
Right,
there's no sales of anything. Yeah, this is all just, a give back to the community type of event.
And just to clarify the point about the parking area, the grassy area next to the skate park, that is actually a permitted, according to the plan, zoning, parking area for the skate park, and there are a handful
Yeah.
of spaces there, so it's not just a random take-up grass space.
We had kind of hoped that, people who were, part of our event, the rest of my staff and, maybe DJ and things like that, we can try and take up those spaces early, making people park more in the lots as opposed to try and fill up that entire field.
Right.
I would recommend every now and then check, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
parking on Main Street, especially the house that one person has signs up there, please don't park.
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
long time. So just, make sure there's nothing.
Sure.
Would you do me a favor and make sure Gary, the fire chief
He's
knows
on.
that the date changed?
Okay. I can give him a shout again.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Gary's online.
Yeah, he's gonna be joining later, or talking later. Good.
Okay.
Anything else? Take a motion to reapprove this application. Roger.
I'll move to reapprove the Go Skate event for the 11th with a rain date of the 12th.
Second.
Thanks, Evan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Enjoy.
Yeah, have a good time. It'll be a good day. Discussion with town boards, committees. We have, tonight, we feature the Historical Society, the Listers and Assessor, and the Board of Civil Authority. Who would like to go first?
You can go first.
Don't fight over it.
You can go first.
You guys wanna go first? Come on up to the table and introduce yourself. We are-
I'm Dan Sweet, the town assessor,
That's Jones Lister.
Bob Butler, lister. And we're missing Alec Tuscany, who's our chair of board of listers.
Thank you. So this is your first time doing this, but what we've been doing is having representatives of different boards and committees and volunteers of the town, and basically coming in and telling us, introducing yourselves, let us introduce ourselves to you if we don't know you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, if there's things that we can do for you. I characterize it as a meet and greet. And we'll try to keep it to 10 minutes per group. And if there's something you need from us or have questions for us, and if the board has questions for you. So there's no real agenda other than that.
Okay.
With that said, I'm hoping that we'll hear a little bit about the reappraisal.
Me too.
So why don't one group or the other goes first or tells us the difference and,
Well, I'll start.
okay.
So for a lot of years, so in a lot of towns, there's either a town assessor or a board of listers. Tom Vickery, who was my predecessor, in all the towns that he was working in, opted for a separate option where there'd be a hired assessor, me, and also a board of listers. And their role is to sit in grievance hearings and list and be an objective board for that process. My job is to do all of the assessments and keep the grand list current, send letters out, and which predicates the grievance process. So that's in a nutshell. So they're my sounding board. To
Cool. Are you
sort of
guys appointed?
a check and balance. These guys are voted in.
Voted in, and you're high,
I'm hired.
okay.
Beth was appointed this year because Mary decided not to run again.
Okay.
So there wasn't time enough to put a
Right.
petition together, so Beth.
And there's 3 members and they have rotate, I'm sorry. And you guys have rotating terms, or is it like,
Yeah,
or is it a 1 year?
yeah, it's a 3-year rotating term, so one person's up for election
Right.
every year.
Sandy, do you have a question?
I said, and Beth stepped in again.
Yeah,
I know.
Beth doesn't want to really leave.
It was a big rumor. What would you guys like to tell us about? How's the listing, grievancing, whatever going, or how often? are
Generally
calls
very
upon?
quiet. It's not, yeah, there's
It's a
not a
real
lot.
challenging position, huh?
Well, when you get people grieving and they're not happy,
That's challenging. Yeah.
that's pretty much.
I can't think of anything to add. I'm brand new to it,
Right.
so.
Right, it's it's been pretty quiet in the last couple of years because the assessments that have made are quite a bit different from what fair market is. And so people get their assessments. I don't expect it to be much different this year. And it looks low to a lot of people, especially new home builders.
Yeah.
And so they don't see a reason to grieve, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
which brings us to reappraisal, I guess.
Yeah.
So the reappraisal started, I sort of put it on hold while I was getting the new grand list completed. We'll be back, once we finish the grievance process and get tax bills out, we'll jump right back into the reappraisal activity. What we expect, our CLA, so the CLA is a ratio between our currently assessed values and fair market value. We're about 50%, plus or minus. So to bring us up to 100%, which is where we want to be, we actually want to be a little above 100%. Property values, property assessments will double. For all the people listening at home, that doesn't mean your tax burden doubles. Your tax rates will be cut in half, and so the taxes you pay today will, in all intents and purposes, be the same or similar after reappraisal's done.
So, can you walk us through a little bit of the process? Like, you said it started, and I have another question related to state funds, okay, if you can answer that. But if you started, how long until you're finished and then you publish, it gets, do you publish something? Does it have to get approved by somebody else?
The
Or?
objective is to have all of our new values done for April 1 of next year.
April 1 of 27.
Yep.
And when you say done, that's you? Does it have to go someplace, or it's just all in your hands?
It's, well, more or less.
Not to put a little more pressure on you.
More or less.
Okay,
They have to make sense, right?
Right.
They have to, the state will have to vet those numbers.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody over at property value,
They'll have to say, these look
these are
right.
okay.
And new values are new homes or new structures. When you say new values,
New values for all properties in town.
He's gotta do everybody.
Yeah.
all right.
Wow. How many properties are there in the town that have to be done?
But if we have 2,700,
27?
yeah.
100 divided by 365? Just kidding.
So we send letters out to everybody. We're doing areas of town by areas of town. And we give everybody options. There's, you can come and take a look at my home. I'll do a walkthrough, answer all your questions. Option 2 is you can come and do an external walk around and you can see what you can see. I may be around, I may not be. Or don't bother me, or I'm not answering your letter. And all of those options are fair. And I'm gonna do what I can to be as, equitable, take a look at every house as I can. There's some people just
Right.
don't want anything to do with it, which is their right.
Does the board have questions?
Yeah,
Evan?
you kind of touched on this earlier, but I had a question that came up when I was looking at numbers for CHIP financing, which we've been discussing lately. When new construction comes on the market, how do you appraise that? Like my parents' house is appraised at like roughly 250,000. If a new identical house was built today, it would sell for way, way more than that. So would you appraise it at the current market rate, or would you try to backdate it to when the last time?
Right, so the last time we did a reappraisal was 2014, and at that particular time, there's a series of cost tables that are created, and so everything that we do now is based on those same cost tables. So a house was built in 2015 and appraised then, and of a similar value or quality as a house built today, they should come pretty close.
Wow.
So you can see the growth in our housing market, our value, has changed substantially since 2014.
Is there a required What's the required number of years you have to do a reappraisal?
It's not necessarily a number of years, it's,
Oh.
I can talk to, there's a couple things
CLA,
there.
yeah.
It was CLA, it's now, they key on the coefficient of dispersion, which is an.
What French? What does that mean?
It's what's the discrepancy in each one of these categories, so there's a bunch of categories of property. Residential with less than 6 acres, residential greater than 6 acres, commercial, condos,
Okay.
open vacant land. So what's the dispersion in your assessments in each one of those categories? It used to be CLA, it used to be plus or minus
Yeah.
15% of the
Yeah,
CLA.
that's what I remember, okay.
But yeah, they changed that a couple years ago.
Then I have one more question, stop
I'm
back.
sure you did this in a bunch, yeah.
To me, this is actually interesting. Is there, I thought I saw something in legislation about some funding to help with the reappraisal?
So every year the town gets a per parcel payment from the state.
Okay,
I think it's $9 per parcel that goes into a fund that's kept separate that pays for reappraisal efforts in the town.
so is that in addition to you? I mean, so I'm gonna ask
We
somebody.
have a reappraisal fund. And
Fund, but that's not his pay
Well,
salary.
I
This
was-
is in addition. Okay.
I was part-time up until this started,
Oh,
so.
We are drawing on that reappraisal fund for this effort.
okay. Okay.
Do you need any assistance? I mean,
Yeah.
I likely will need assistance once we get through this.
Well, now we have Beth.
Then we have that.
Thank you.
And would that assistance come from a hired person with a contractor that you know or has worked in other towns?
Right.
Would that assistance be data entry assistance for you? Would that assistance, what would the assistance look like?
Yeah, good question.
Potentially all of the above.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I will keep the board apprised of needs
Please.
as we move forward.
Well, that 2,700 divided by 365 is gonna go fast.
It's weighing on me. Yeah. There is, so once we get through this effort, there is legislation in this that was approved a year ago where the state has an interest in taking over the reappraisal process.
Whoa,
Good or bad, I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know.
I mean, there's pros and cons to the whole thing.
Well, what do you mean interest? I mean, are they doing a study for the next 10 years?
Well,
and then
they,
they'll make a
they said,
decision, or-
we're gonna do it, but then they said, okay, let's study it.
Study.
So, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so this, it's like,
It's not a done deal at this particular time.
do we have to have the reappraisal done by April 1st of 27? Is there
That's
some
the
requirement?
date that I'm shooting for. Well, the longer we go, the more out of date our assessments get. I mean, we're shooting for April 1, 27.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Anybody questions from the public? Roger?
Once those values get set, what is the recourse in terms of public process? If
Yeah,
people
good
disagree with the.
It's the
new
same,
numbers.
it's the same as our annual grievance process. So once we get our values set, we'll send letters to each landowner with their new and old values, assessment values. And then there'll be grievance period. I think I was a lister, I think the last time we went through this, I think we did 3 days
Yeah,
of grievances.
that's
I
what
feel like
remember.
Stowe did about 3 days, they just finished theirs up a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's
Based
something,
on quantity,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's, most people are, I mean, unless there's something that's really off, most people are pretty comfortable with how things turn out.
Is there any place along the way that we should be, I guess I would just advocate for some kind of community communication and how we're communicating that this is happening and maybe a timeline, maybe we post it on the website. something, outreach that, because it'll just be easier if everybody is warned or noticed that this is going on.
It's been in a few issues of the Municipal Dispatch,
Yeah,
Facebook, and the website.
I feel like we had something on the
Facebook,
website that Tom and I put together before he left.
Is that on the website now?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see.
Yeah, as long as the reappraisal is happening, it will stay on the website.
Does
And
it have
then-
a schedule of the target of April?
I should have the April one.
I would have to go back.
You might
and
wanna just look
I'll
at
double
it and
check
see
it.
if it's informative to, you know, even just the process, that once this happens, then this happens, and that happens.
Yeah.
It's gonna alleviate maybe
Yeah.
one question.
And every,
Well, I
and
think
every,
that's, everybody's anxious about
Yeah,
that tax burden, which is already, substantial for everybody, so.
Right.
Everybody's.
and every few months or so, I put in an update in the monthly newsletter. I keep checking in with Dan, like, are you moving to a new area of town that I can give a heads up to and stuff like that, so I'm
where is
paying
that
attention.
newsletter? I don't ever see
It
that.
goes out via the news alerts if you subscribe to news on the,
I get other warnings, I don't think.
you have to subscribe specifically to news, not to the other specific boards. It is on the website under news and initiatives, listed as Municipal Dispatch. It is in a nice little pile over by the sign-in sheet and agendas. And it's always on Pam and Kaya's desk for the taking, or in the library on the bench, or outside on the bench.
Wow,
This month is always there.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. So everybody knows.
Anything else that, the board have any questions? Did I see, do you have your hand up? I know, okay. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
How you doing, Bob?
I'm well. Dan spoke very
Yes, you did.
eloquently.
Thank you guys for coming in, I appreciate it. Do you have any questions for us? All right, I think we can move on to history or Liz. See, Liz is here. You wanna go next, Liz?
Sure, it's the perfect follow.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Dan, are you gonna hang around at all?
Okay.
They're gonna stay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
I know.
good?
You are.
That's great.
Okay, good.
That'd be great.
I don't think I have enough for everybody, I apologize, but pass these around, because I need to keep one. But pass these around and then I'll send it via email, it's just a wordy version of what I'm gonna say. For the record, I'm Legislative Stevens, Chair of the Board of Civil Authority, I am Justice of the Peace.
And Bob is sitting here because you're a justice.
Bob is also a
of the peace.
Justice of the Peace and a member of the Board of Civil Authority, because he is a Justice of the Peace, not because he is a lister.
Right, that's what I wanted to clarify that.
You also
Double
are
duty.
members of the Board of Civil Authority, as is Wes.
Yep.
Right, so that is, and I think I wanna pick up actually with the real estate portion. So as we were talking about that, so we can kind of segue into that, and then we'll come back to elections and abatement. But you asked about what happens, and so this is, by state law, this process, right? So the listers hold these grievance hearings, right? And then if people are unhappy with the response that they get from the listers, they can go to the Board of Civil Authority and appeal the value of their property, right? And this is not, I cannot afford my taxes. This is, I don't think my house is worth $500,000. They can also say, I think my house is worth more. We have had that experience. That is often someone who is, planning to sell, and they don't want the tax valuation to be too far off from what their realtor is gonna price the house at, because buyers notice that, right? Which is another reason, right? Of course, we have to do it because the state says we have to do the reappraisal, but also as they get farther and farther out, it actually makes it much harder for people looking to sell their properties, because the negotiating power of saying, but your tax bill is only this, what do you mean your house is worth that much? Right, that makes it harder, and kind of everybody in town has a vested interest both in having property available to people to buy, and for people, property wealth is the #1 source of wealth in Vermont. So It's a tricky job for amateurs to do. I will say this is something that comes up again and again when we are asked to do this, and that is the rule of law, that this bunch of gifted amateurs is allowed to be a quasi judicial board, right, in this process. And so the way it works is, again, there's these very tight deadlines. You know, they have to be met. We as a town have to meet them. And people can come and make their case, you know, if they're people with resources or they have a property that is worth a lot, they come with a lawyer. The lawyer makes their case, right? We have at times had to pull in the town's lawyer, again, in those fairly challenging circumstances. But the part for everybody to know, I think that is really important, is a site visit is required by members of the Board of Civil Authority, and the property owner is not allowed to bar anyone from any corner of the property. Their appeal is automatically ended at the point they say you can't go in there, right? And so, as Dan said, someone can say, I won't let you in my house, but then if they appeal the valuation that he has put on their house in a drive-by, they have to let us in the house. And so that is a factor, right? And it is, again, I won't get into all the details of how it works, but it is a process that is supported by a ton of case law, right? And as a Board of Civil Authority, we have been lucky to have great education from the town attorney when we have had weird cases.
Before you go on.
Yep.
How many of the board have to attend that process?
It is 3 people who go make the site visit.
3.
But the people who are at the initial hearing are the only people who can make the decision. So for example, right, if someone here, you know, if someone appeals their taxes and you are at the original hearing, but you can't make the second meeting, when the people report out their findings, you can't vote,
Okay.
right? If you weren't at the initial meeting, you can't
Right,
weigh
but there's
in, right?
like 12 different, I don't know how many are on your board?
Well, it's 17.
Yeah,
Right,
so
yeah.
how many are the
How
minimum?
many listers, how many from?
It's the quorum is, they have changed the quorum rules a
It's a
little bit,
quorum.
and it is actually whoever is there is the quorum.
Oh, all
Okay.
You
right.
know,
So
right,
there's
right,
only
but
2? I mean,
you can't, no,
Okay.
that's right, but that is, I would defer to Wes on exactly what the law says today, because they did just change this.
Okay.
All
I didn't
little
mean to
bit.
make it.
Yep. No, it's okay, right, but it is, there's a lot of rules about it, and especially, as I said, you know, the most important kind of discipline is around, no chit chat, right? No ex parte communication, that is a really important thing that can sink things. And we, I can't remember if you were on the board then, right, but like we have had to go back to the drawing board on tax appeals because someone did not disclose their connection, right? And all the appeals that were heard are wiped. You have to start over on all of them. And so we don't, you know, I am watching Dan's work very carefully, of course, because we will trigger, you know, appeals. I mean, they happen, you know, they're only allowed in a specific time frame, but they can happen any year. But typically post reappraisal, you get a bunch of people and they say, my house is not worth $1 million. Those are the most likely people.
You gotta move on a little bit.
Yep. So anyway,
Sorry.
that is the appeal process
That's great.
for that. And again, it is, and when it comes next year,
You'll have
we'll
fun.
be looking for full participation from the select board in addition to the justice of
All right.
the peace. So our other activities are conducting elections and the Board of Abatement. So conducting elections is we work with the town clerk to make sure that elections are free and fair and welcoming to everyone and that it is as easy to participate as possible. And that includes everything from setting up voting booths to putting up signs that say vote here and hand counting thousands of ballots right at the end of the night. And again, everybody is welcome to help with that. Generally for November, right, for the August primary, we'll be sending out a sign-up sheet asking people to participate, right, the Justices of Peace and the Select Board. And really, the piece is making sure that it's consistent and that the law is followed and that everybody feels welcome. It is truly a nonpartisan role, and we welcome volunteers. And if people are interested in volunteering, they can email Wes or me for either August or November, but it does help to have more people.
Cool.
And then the last piece is Board of Abatement, and Board of Abatement, same people, different name, listers are also included in the Board of Abatement, is I can't pay my taxes, right? Or you got it wrong. Those are pretty much the two things. There again, in statute, most of this is like very statutorily driven. In statute, there are just 7 reasons. And you have to pick one of those, and my dog died is not one of them, unfortunately, right? Or something terrible happened, right? And so just for folks' knowledge, people can ask for abatement of not just their taxes, but also their fees and any penalties. And as a board, we have the power to waive those, but we also have the responsibility to remember that either that is foregone revenue to the town, or in the case of education taxes, collectively we will be picking that up when we do that. And so, you know.
Wait, what do you mean we will be picking?
We
up?
as a town,
Yeah.
right,
We'll
so
pick up the
if you
education.
came and said you could not pay your taxes,
Yeah.
right, because your house got flooded and you were in dire financial straits, right?
Sorry.
We could waive them, but the town still needs to pay your
The
portion of the
education
education
portion,
taxes,
yeah.
yep. And so it is kind of a reminder to the board that we have to be both merciful and, aware of that we pay for this collectively as a community, that's how it works. And again, there is a ton of case law on this as well that we refer to regularly. The only other point that I would make is generally the board is reluctant to waive late fees. And that has been consistent here for about 20, 25 years, maybe 40. So, but it doesn't mean people cannot request it, but that it is generally not, has in the past, right? Possibly a different board would feel differently. But that's a question that the town clerk gets all the time. Right? My dog ate it, whatever, the mailman was like. And then justices of peace can marry people, they can be notaries, they can take, administer oaths. So as select board members, you cannot do those things, but if you wish to, you can become a justice of peace.
I think we have enough on our plate. Any questions? Super. Thanks for putting this together. Good. All right. We'll advertise for help for the elections.
Sandy, I have a presentation for the Historical Society. That one.
What are we doing?
Okay. So, switching hats now. The Historical Society. A little bit about who we are and what we do. We are a volunteer-run organization. We have been charged by the town with stewarding the history and collections of the town of Waterbury. And our mission really includes making the power of local history visible and vibrant in our everyday lives and in our community identity. We do this primarily through activities like educational programming, engaging exhibits, and collections, management, and care. What we want to be, what we are striving to be, is the go-to educational resource with convenient access to our archives, our history center, to our programs. We want to engage community members of all ages. We want to be useful to researchers, and we want to bring tourists with interest in Waterbury's history into the extraordinary history that Waterbury has, not only within the community. It's an interesting and resonant history, but it's a history that has incredible relevance to the broader story of Vermont and has made waves at the international level as well in the last 250 odd years. We have a 7-person board. 4 of those board members are officers. We have a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary, and then we have 3 at-large members. At present, 1 of those positions is vacant. We hold elections in October at our annual meeting if anybody is interested in self-nominating. We also have a few staff. Our newsletter editor, Laura Perrette, our exhibits manager, Ryan Geary, and I also serve as digital content manager, so website, social media, and so forth. By sheer coincidence are these 3 roles filled by board members. So hint, hint, volunteers needed. Our collections manager and our researcher and cataloger are the only 2 roles that are paid positions. These are part-time positions that we fund, and we do not offer the kind of salary to retire on. We rely primarily on donations. Next one, our standing committees. We have 4 standing committees. Programming, this group is responsible for our quarterly programs, which you'll hear more about in a moment. Outreach education, which as the name suggests, this is the committee that works with places like the senior center, the library, the schools, to make connections with them with smaller programs and other initiatives, history related. We have our member development committee, which is all about recruitment. I happen to be on that committee. And our collections acquisition committee, which sort of leads the way with collections inventory, evaluating item donations if they are appropriate for our collections according to our collection scope, and also identifying items that do not belong in our collection for whatever reason. Either they are actually Waterbury based, they might be duplicates, they might be mass-produced things that don't have any particular story and we don't have space to store them. So all kinds of things that they do. So now our work, which I would say roughly breaks down into educating, curating, and preserving. And so if we start actually from the bottom with preserving, the next slide please, Sandy. Our collection. How big is the collection and where does it come from? In our collections catalog, you see we have almost 13,000 records. In those records, 1,300-ish are artifacts. Almost 4,300 of those records are photographs. Almost 7,000 of those records are documents, and we have 261 books. It is important to note that in the museum collection records world, records may contain more than one item. So the 12,808 records is a little bit misleading with regards to how many actual items we have in our collection. Where does the collection come from? It comes from donations of community members or relatives of community member or of former community members. It comes from all over the place, and it comes from the library and the town through a memorandum of understanding signed in 2017 when this building opened and the History Center was established in the Dr. Jane's house. This MOU designates the Historical Society as the official stewards of the town's history and collection items. So our collections are owned by the town of Waterbury. We are the stewards. This MOU also defines the collection's scope, and it details the policy and procedures for taking in or accessioning items and de-accessioning them. Our approach to preserving these items is called the active collections approach. In 2025, we were selected to join 4 other local historical societies for this pilot cohort of Vermont Historical Society's collections training program, where we learned all about the active collections approach. which means that we are thinking about our collections in terms of what can advance our mission, what items can be used, actually used, not just stored and sitting and dusty in an attic, what can be used to tell meaningful stories, and what can be reasonably stored and cared for. The care of many of our items is not cheap at all, requires certain conditions, requires climate control, requires certain kinds of boxes and storage that are specific to artifacts that are made of certain materials to prevent deterioration and decay. Some of these items are not tenable for us to care for. We could not do it because we do not have the money. So active collection thinks about what can we use. This was an extraordinary experience for us. We absolutely loved it. We learned so much. And we were kind of nailing it along the way in our learning. WCAX featured us twice as a member of the cohort, and our Dr. James exhibit was also featured as the cover image for an article in A Museum magazine, written by VHS staff about active collections. And so we were not only the article cover, but I think we were also like the issue cover as well. Right. We also have our collections stored in an online database, publicly accessible. It is on our website. It is searchable. It is a constant work in progress to improve the user friendliness, to improve the data and how the data is presented, how the data can be found. In curating, our pride and joy is, of course, the History Center. Part of our active collections work included an inventory of the collections so that we could understand what we had to really use to do a complete revamp of our History Center. And so we underwent a total transformation and just reopened Memorial Day weekend. This happened thanks to the extraordinary efforts of volunteers to reimagine the space, highlight more of the collections that had previously been in storage since this building opened. We had, going into this refresh, 9 total exhibits. We now have 16 themed exhibits and displays detailing the lives and times of Waterbury since its founding as a town. And so that's been a really big deal for us. Other things we curate are collections in the Steel Community Room. This Saturday, we are putting up our next annual rotating temporary exhibit here that is entitled Worn History. The clothing, textiles, and identities across generations. We've done past exhibits on Waterbury women and on the Small Business Derby and Ball. We worked with George Woodard on an exhibit to curate an exhibit about the roots of his raising. And so the History Center and the exhibits in here have really brought in a lot of new visitors. We've hosted the Green Mountain Civil War Roundtable to look specifically at the Dr. James collections. We have, since summer 2025, been opening the History Center on select holiday weekends during the summer and fall so that we can have some weekend hours. The History Center is otherwise open and unstaffed, available to the public during municipal office hours. We get volunteers together to serve as history keepers and History Center hosts for the special weekend hours. We work with community partners, organizations, and businesses in town. You may have seen the Prohibition and Temperance themed exhibit in the bar area at Prohibition Pig. That display includes a number of reproductions from our collections, and there is a plaque there noting our contribution. Pro Pig is a very enthusiastic partner to work with, and we've got a lot more ideas in the hopper with them, pun intended. We work with Discover Waterbury, particularly with regards to train station history. I'm currently working with the owners of the Bidwell to create a small display about Dr. George Bidwell, and with portraits and street scenes showing his house. And we're also, we have plans to start working with Bridgeside Books for a small exhibit in the bookstore about when the building was a bowling alley. These are just some of the many conversations that we continue to have with others in the community. For educating, we hold quarterly programs, so 4 times a year our program committee puts together presentations on all kinds of topics, from skiing to industry in Waterbury to railroads to why your street is named the way it's named, to some of the more lurid murders that happened in our history. Those are my favorite, personally. We do some special events. Some of them are annual. That didn't download correctly, I apologize. Our Memorial Day ceremony and Ghost Walk, we do that every year. But we've done a number of author talks co-sponsored with Bridgeside Books. Last year, we participated in General Lafayette's grand tour of the United States 200 years ago-ish. And so we welcomed General Lafayette to the Butler House on North Main Street, the home of Ezra Butler, one of the first permanent settlers of town, and we recreated the visit from when he came through Vermont, where he ended his national tour. The gentleman second from the left is General Lafayette. We just received word that he sadly, the reenactor sadly passed away from a sudden and aggressive cancer a few weeks ago. But that was an amazing event. Find Waldo Local is also in the History Center, so come find Waldo and check out some of the new exhibits that he's looking at. Next one, please. Almost, I got 2 more slides. I timed it. Our Outreach Education Committee does really great work, especially with Bridgeside and the Senior Center on their History Artifact Series, monthly presentations about specific artifacts. At the Senior Center, we partner with the library, who does a pop-up library table, and they bring books that are somehow related to the artifact or the industry that the artifact is a part of, or so forth, along with presentations from the committee members, so that we have a collaborative program for seniors during their lunch hour, the first Wednesday of the month. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have a quarterly newsletter, Preservation News. We have a blog on our website. We have the website itself. All of the extra information about who we are, what we do, how you can help out, small and large, and how you can donate is all there. And finally, I want to make clear that all of this happens because of our 2 part-time, underpaid staff members, and the many volunteers who help out with projects, newsletter mailings, research and writing, photographing and scanning, staffing the History Center, collections inventory, et cetera, and so forth, to give us the extraordinary feedback that we are one of the top local historical societies in the state, and I cannot thank these volunteers enough for their work. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Well, you post this presentation with the meeting.
It's there.
It is.
It's there. I put it up before the meeting.
Okay, perfect. I think that's a nice thing to share. Maybe I put it on the website.
So just a little, I pulled in tonight to come to the meeting at, I don't know, 10 after 6, quarter after an hour. Definitely out-of-state visitors, looking at the plaque about the Janes building, reading it from the outside. Whether they came in, because I don't know if it was open or not.
We might not have been open by then.
But they were reading the plaque. It was nice to see.
Yeah, we do. We keep a guest book that folks sign, and we get people from Eastern Europe, Australia, New Zealand, around Vermont, around the United States. It's really fun to see all of the places that that people come from. And actually, we've had some family descendants among the researchers lately. And I forgot to mention this. In the last year, we've had a Dillingham, a Demerit, a Bidwell ancestor, and a descendant of Polly Pride. So we've got family members, extended, ancestral lines, coming and checking out the stuff that we have and looking for more about their own family histories and holding artifacts that their ancestors owned.
Any questions from the public online? Roger?
Yeah, this actually refers back to the Board of Civil Authority. I just wanted to mention that the Secretary of State's office is initiating a civically engaged Vermont initiative, and we've got a member of that group that's going to be tabling at the Arts Fest on Saturday. And it's all about getting more engaged in local elections and better educated about how to get civically engaged.
We have a good volunteer community, I think. Okay, thank you, Cheryl, that was really informative. We can move on to municipal manager matters. Update on Randall Meadows, any update to be shared?
Randall Meadow, yes, we have, the environmental proposals are in and will be reviewed shortly. We received proposals from 2 firms. Initially, we had spoken to 3 firms. The 3rd firm chose not to submit anything. So those proposals will be circulated to the members of the review committee, which includes somebody from this board, I think Martha, and others. I know, I think Dana was on a conference call today with folks about the grant agreement. Is that right, Dana? Yeah?
Yeah, do you wanna? Okay.
If you'd like, yeah, yep.
Yeah, Dana Allen, work on grants, management, consultant for flood and joint stuff. Chatted with Devin Hannon today from BCDP about the DR grant that we got. Clarified some of the budgeting, and then also was advised that, update on the ER process, the environmental review process, and also received clarification on that if we so choose, we can issue an RFP for design services prior to that ER being finalized. The caveat is that reimbursement doesn't occur on that grant until environmental review is completed. So it would be out of pocket for the town, but there's an advantage to doing it, and it would move the process along a little bit quicker if we had a design consultant kind of working in tandem a little bit with this ER process. The caveat there is that things can come up during environmental review that can influence design. So there's a risk, but then there's potentially also a timeline reward.
Is there a cost to issuing the request for proposals to hire the consultant, but not necessarily engage the consultant until the ER is done?
Yeah, so that was the thought that I had when chatting with this guy Devin, is that, it's like, well, it's risky if you don't know the conditions on the ground, but if we had a consultant selected,
Right.
when we get clearance or when we get to a level of comfort with the environmental review, we could then potentially cut them loose to a certain level of design, so maybe not full, but partial concept. That also, in a way, behooves us because then it starts to line us up for other grant funding sources if we have a level of design done that can support it.
What's again, I know I've asked this and I don't seem to keep it in my head straight. What is the timeline? So you have responses for the environmental review. When would that potentially kick off and how long will it take? Guesstimate.
Yeah, I mean, the thought process was the cornfield's still there.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we sort of envisioned like having a lot of the work done by end of this year, but
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
So Dana, when you talked about saving time, if you went ahead, how much time in your estimation would that save if we would hire ahead of time? 2 months, 6 months, or?
it depends. I mean, the thing with the ER is we're not sure when it's going to be fully completed. And so if we had a design consultant in hand, selected, we're happy with what they've given us, that's good. And then also if we had them essentially in hand, and we got to a review level with environmental review that we're like, okay, some of the big flags maybe are not there, we feel comfortable proceeding with some level of design, we could potentially kick it off. So we've only got 6 years realistically to execute this entire grant. So that's design and implementation. And it seems like a long time, but it's a big project. So I'm kind of looking to shave months wherever possible. And so this actually does open up a way to do it. Again, it would be out of pocket if we chose to have the design consultant start work before the environmental review is done. So
Why
there's
don't
a
we-
slight risk, but.
Why don't we ask, yeah, I'm jumping the gun here, but why don't we ask Dana to come back when the contractor, the ER contractor is selected and that they should have a scope of work timeline schedule, and then have that conversation of whether moving to a design person is applicable, or, you know, have
Yeah.
that conversation
Yeah,
at
the
that
phasing
point. I
works.
think we're a little bit ahead of the gate.
I just wanted to know, so when did the 6-year, or when did that start? What is the date?
Essentially from grant award, so what, this past March essentially.
Yeah.
So it starts from that point, we have 6 years.
Yeah, so.
Any other questions, Roger?
Dana, as you know, Waterbury is one of 5 communities being assisted by the National Parks, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And they are proposing to do a design charrette on the 28th of October, part of which would be focusing on Randall Meadow. Just wondering how that would interface with this design effort.
Yeah, so, I mean, the good news is I think we'd have some level of environmental review done by then, so we may have some idea of, you know, environmental conditions, needs, et cetera. Design for sure interfaces with the recreation designs. I believe I mentioned it in the RFP, the draft RFP that we're looking to issue. You know, there is this recreation concern, you know, with the understanding that like flood resilience is primary, recreation, we have to work around it. So, but yeah, I think, you know, and in talking to a lot of floodplain restoration specialists, I don't think it's a big issue. You know, we're not talking about building ice arenas and boardwalks and things. So I think we got it.
All right, thank you for that, Dana.
Next, I just want to mention on Union Street, they're due to take down 36 and 40 here, hopefully this week get started.
Yeah, they were supposed to start yesterday.
Yeah, they're still hopeful, yeah.
Alright,
Um,
I warned everyone.
Yeah, so those are coming down, hopefully, those 2 FEMA buyout projects.
Who's doing the work?
What's that?
Who's doing the work?
REARC is the general on that, I'm not sure, they may have subbed it out to it. Same outfit, I believe, that did the project over in Duxbury, taking one down, and my understanding, they'll do both 36 and 40, shouldn't take that long. Yeah, leave them like a nice flat spot, nice, ready to go, yeah. So, they said the 4th of July holiday kind of pushed out schedule a little bit. Woody Avenue Housing, I think at our last meeting, you approved Wayman Lampier as our consultant. I've been in talks with them. Again, the holidays kind of, summer vacations have pushed them out a little bit, but they have started on the contract for the work with us. That after we get that ironed out, it would be a agenda meet and greet with all the people involved and set a timeline for, you know, what's gonna move forward here. They expect probably to have a contract to us, I would guess, next week, so.
Meet and greet at a select board meeting or a separate
No,
meeting?
on the site, at the site,
At the site, okay.
Woody Avenue, yeah.
So like a couple of weeks out or month
I would
out?
guess 3, it's summertime, so it's,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I mean, I gotcha.
yeah. I would guess that, at least. Let's see, did you wanna discuss the parking on
Yes,
backside of Lush Hill?
yes.
So last, I was not here when the calls and complaints came in, but they are not new. Several years ago, we put up signs, no restricting parking on one side of the road. I've been up a few times, I haven't seen an issue since I pop up, but I obviously don't go up on the weekends and when it's sunny weather. So I guess the question to this board is there more action you wanna take?
So my understanding is from Alec that enforcement would be challenging because of the inconsistency of the signage. And so there's some that say no parking between signs, there's some that say no parking. There's some, some signs are, I believe, are gone, disappeared. And so, state police and sheriffs have been up there, they've seen the parking, but they are, reluctant to issue, well, either towing, which I don't advocate for, but tickets because of the enforcement issue. So, I don't know, I think Sandy's done some research, I don't know if you wanna speak to what you found and some action that should have been taken or should be taken.
Yeah, so I found, that ordinance was updated last year to include the handicap parking at the Congregational Church, but I did find where the board, back in 2020, yep. Bill Sheplick had brought before the board that he wanted to amend the ordinance to include no parking on the west side of Lush Hill from the intersection of Michigan Avenue for 2/10 of a mile to the entrance of the cul-de-sac adjacent to the reservoir, which was voted on and approved, but it was never followed up, so it was never put into the ordinance as an amendment. So, and if it wasn't done that way, then I'm sure it wasn't, because you can appeal a ordinance within so many days, so.
So it wasn't voted by the board
It was voted and approved by the board.
for that specific?
Yeah, so it wasn't even in the notes as to that exact wording, but so I went back and watched the video. Thank you, Orca. So, and I found that he actually worded it exactly that way. I had to keep rewinding it.
So you're saying though, now that's sort of null and void because there was no action taken?
Right, well, there was action taken, but it was never followed up and the ordinance wasn't
Documented.
right.
Okay, documented.
So it's already been approved, so it's just a matter of updating the document, and I believe we all have to sign it, and then you have to do the waiting period, but if it's already, whether or not we have to reapprove it to do that, but it has been done, and it's official.
Right, also though, the last year's traffic, what's it called?
Yeah. So
Document.
parking ordinance.
Allows the town to post control parking. There's a specific article, I think it's like Article 9.10, and so section 9.10 and section 10.10 address parking. So that we could ask the Public Works Department to increase, improve, I'm just putting a suggestion on the table here, I don't know the answer, but, you've got it up there.
Yeah.
Can you go to 9.10? What did I say? 9.10 and 10.10? Great, glad you have that, community. Yeah, it's at the end. There, too far. Nope. It's after that, it's after this list.
End of page.
There it is. Oh, we went
Did I
back.
go one too far? 10.10, well, it's kind of,
There you go.
oops, sorry.
Okay, there you go, right there. The select board, oh, you,
Yeah, it's right here.
can you read it?
The select board for the town of Waterbury shall cause signs to be erected and maintain pavement and curbing to be painted indicating areas where parking is regulated, controlled, or prohibited.
Yeah.
I mean, we can improve the signage up there, I mean,
Can I just jump in a second? So I went up 4 days in a row this past weekend, when this came up. I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday and Friday were wicked hot days, and a lot of people had Friday off because of the holiday. So when I went down there on Thursday, there were cars parked all the way up to Michigan Avenue on the east side. There are no parking signs. I didn't count them, but there's have to be 5 or 6. No,
I'll let you
there's
no
sign after sign that says no parking on the west side. Not one car was parked on the west side all 4 days. Thursday, there were 10 cars. So I saw the cars, and at the bottom, there's 2 signs. This confusion, I don't agree with. There's 2 signs that says, do not park here for a turnaround for a boat and trailer. So there's gotta be room for somebody with a trailer and a boat to pull in. That's only in the one spot. And there's no parking on the west side. There's one sign on the east side that says, I took a picture of it, because I didn't see it on Friday, because it was behind a truck.
I don't know whose sign that is.
That's this one, I know, it says, no parking uphill sign.
State parks.
Right, additional access parking at waterfront dam, which is fine, and please slow down, drive friendly. So I didn't notice the sign on Thursday. This is halfway up the thing. On Friday, I saw this sign and there were 10 cars past it. On July 4th, Saturday, there was only 1 car, because I think everybody was home doing their, family things or going to fireworks or whatever. Sunday, the place was out of control. There were 10 cars all the way up. There's a bus turnaround across the Michigan Avenue that says no parking, bus turnaround. There were 3 cars in there. I couldn't get down. There were 2 cars behind me. I pulled into the driveway so they could get by me. 2 cars were coming up. I didn't even go down to the bottom. So I think the issue is when somebody with a trailer parks on the east side of the road facing, uphill, where do they turn their trailer around? I think they're using Michigan Avenue to pull in and pull into the bus loop. So this sign says halfway up, so you could ticket easily 10 cars if you wanted to. I didn't see anything confusing about what was going on there with signs. It's all no parking, it's no parking above this sign and trailer turnaround, that is it. It's not confusing.
Yeah, there are, at the bottom, there's 2 signs that say no parking between signs, and when I went Sunday, there was 2 cars parked right there.
Well, yeah, they should
With
be.
nobody in them.
Right. So I'm wondering why that sign doesn't go up farther and have more people park on the east side. And we should have no parking in that bus turnaround, so trailers can use that as to back their trailers in. But I don't know, I mean, that's just from observation on a very hot and very busy holiday weekend.
Do you wanna talk to the police? I mean, Alex, this is what Alex reported to me.
So let me just clarify, so on Sunday, both sides of the road?
No,
Oh, okay.
No.
Good.
no one
Just
ever
all the
parked
way
on
up.
the
Okay,
side.
okay, good,
Right.
that's good.
Yeah,
So
so
I
That's
think,
working.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is
that
working.
part's working.
But it's a matter of the sign was placed halfway up that section from Michigan Avenue to the water. That you can't park north or south of that sign, uphill of the sign.
which is, again, that's not our sign,
I know.
so,
We can't, right,
And Sunday, I looked for the sign and I could not find it because there's trucks parked in front of it. So,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can't even, and it's only one sign. I was looking for the sign, I couldn't see it.
So I think the ordinance that was enacted back in whatever, 2020, made the signs be placed there, which made it so people could not park on the left side,
Correct.
is apparently working.
Right.
right.
The state, in the meantime, had built that trailer
That whole
turnaround
part,
at a very big cost.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lower parking lot.
It is,
Trailer.
it is,
Right.
but that was a huge,
But that was,
Right.
huge,
that was a big
a,
deal.
yeah.
And they fixed that whole area. I mean, they put embankments in and vegetation and restoration work.
Yeah, and I mean, this time of year, I don't have an issue with anybody parking in the school bus turnaround because, then that's our snowplow turnaround
Right, right,
sometimes, so.
so I
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
But I just don't know where people turn their trailer around.
Yeah,
If they're
no.
going uphill, they've got to back,
Yeah,
and that's where the Michigan Avenue may come in. They might be backing into there to get back down.
yeah, so,
Well, I think, I mean, I forgot about the between signs, because I used that to
Right.
go kayaking, and I forgot it was down from where the turnaround is. It's not a long Blush Hill Road.
Right.
So to me, so that's not quite the impression that I was given.
And if that's a park sign on the east side, do we have enforcement for that? If that's what the park system's saying, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who that contact is.
So I guess the question, I'm not sure the state police will do any ticketing for us. I would guess they wouldn't, but I could ask. The sheriff may do some ticketing for you if you ask, but then again, you have to, kind of know when
When to go,
to go.
yeah.
So, go ahead, Sam.
But if it's not in our ordinance, somebody could fight it and win if it's not officially in our ordinance.
Yeah,
But
this-
even if there's a sign,
But it doesn't look like one of our signs, you know what I mean?
no,
It's-
but the
yeah.
no parking signs
No.
are,
Well,
those look like.
I don't see how people could park on both sides, because then it's completely blocking the road. I mean, as busy it was, hot as it was, holiday weekend, no one parked on.
On
that
the west
side.
side,
Yeah, you can get down and back and forth.
right.
So that sounds like mission was accomplished from the 2020,
Well, I think we could sort of do both, we're recognizing what the parking situation is. I do think that it wouldn't be bad for the police or sheriff to take a drive down on Sunday, or whenever they're here. But, to Sandy's point, why not follow up and complete the task of documenting that in the parking, or what is this called, transportation ordinance,
Yeah.
and then go through the process.
So is there language that can be introduced into that ordinance?
Bill Sheplick's the one that came up with it. No parking on the west side of Blush Hill from the intersection of Michigan Avenue for 0.2 of a mile, the entrance of the cul-de-sac adjacent to the reservoir. So, yeah, it could be added exactly like that.
Right.
And that's what was voted on and passed.
Go for it,
I don't
Roger.
know.
I move that we introduce the previously approved language concerning no parking on the west side of Blush Hill Avenue Road. And have it entered into the ordinance.
I will second that.
Any further discussion?
So what this means then is, all the people parked on the east side are okay.
Yes,
Just being clear.
Yep.
Okay, so we get complaints, whatever,
right, but there'll be the no parking signs
Right.
on the west side.
because there's no residence driveways on the east side. There are two on Michigan Avenue and somebody else.
And I can also make an inquiry with the State Parks Department about that sign. Because I don't believe they have any authority about parking, but they may. We can get
On the side of
further-
the road.
Yeah, we've got an important addition.
Just, I won't stake
Just state your name
my
first.
heart. I believe the cul-de-sac is not our road, technically. The road stops at
Oh,
the cul-de-sac.
do we have authority
we-
to
we-
issue tickets?
No, on
Well, I
the
think we're-
road.
we're talking
about the
different
road,
road.
not talking about the
Right,
cul-de-sac.
no, but Roger just said he was gonna talk to the state park about no parking signs.
Well, there's a
No, I'm
sign-
talking about, there's one about
one sign.
quarter mile up the road on the east side that says, no parking above this sign.
Oh,
So on
And
that,
there are regularly, on the weekend, at
No,
least 10 cars
I
parked.
misunderstood. I just
Okay.
wanted you to know that the cul-de-sac at the bottom of the
Yeah, no,
road is
we're
not,
got that.
not
That's-
our
We
road.
got it.
It's this sign here that the park
Okay.
department put up. which doesn't have any authority, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, they could
Alright.
put signs up saying there's additional parking elsewhere, they're happy to do that. I mean,
Yeah,
All right,
but,
I think we're gonna,
reality is, nobody is about to go
Oh, I know.
drive over to the dam,
I know.
because,
there's no parking over there either.
right.
That's why they're there.
Any further discussion?
You are right, that is, the cul-de-sac is not.
It's not
Right.
ours, yeah.
Okay. Good, thank you, Bill.
Sure.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'll clean that up with town highway road names and numbers that you need to actually
Thank
have
you.
for.
And Sandy,
I sent it to Cheryl.
what?
I sent that email to Cheryl, so she has the exact wording.
Yeah, I wanna know who's gonna, update the ordinance.
That would be Wes. Is Wes still here?
All right.
There we go.
That'd be what?
I knew there was a reason you were attending. Thank you, Wes.
Do you want me to send it to Wes too?
Sure.
Well, yes, we should get the town highway number in there. I don't know what
Okay,
it reads,
yeah,
but
Anything else, Woody?
No, just a quick update. Wes has hired an assistant town clerk and an admin person for out front. Mariah McNally, she started last week. So, that puts us full staffed out front, and Beth can transition into retirement at some point. So,
We're regularly. I just want to say thanks to Beth for this whole
Thank you,
transition.
Beth. You've been a trooper. We very much appreciate it.
oh, one other thing, for the grant
He's
agreement
cutting me
for,
off, and I'm trying to.
for Woody Avenue, the board just needs to sign this that basically states that me and Neil are the contact people for the grant
Grant,
for Woody Avenue.
yeah,
And I'll
okay.
just circulate that around.
Okay. All right.
So we need to sign this? right?
Just sign it, yeah.
What happened
Yeah.
to the clock?
That's an hour ahead.
Yes.
I know that. I just couldn't figure out how it got that way.
It's an hour.
I was so excited when it was right.
It's 8 o'clock, it's not
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
I know. All right, can we move on
Sure.
to select board matters? Municipal manager position update.
All right, so the municipal manager's status right now is the contract legalese is pretty much done. A few little things to take care of. We just got notice of the background checks and the references have all been done. So the board, in lieu of those things being completed by today, we're happy to announce that Gracie Ziegler will be our new municipal manager. We're excited to have her. The process was put out in the roundabout and other publications was, we had 19 people involved in the interview process in 3 different teams, from employee, community members to select board. All 19 people used the same rating system. It was a numerical rating system along with the pluses and minuses. For each candidate that we interviewed, there were 3 finalists. And so we had a lot of information for the select board to look at and review prior to that decisions. We are real happy with, to offer the position with her. She is, I think she's got a living situation right now. She's a part-time and she's looking for more permanent housing in Waterbury. Her starting date looks to be around the 24th of August is what she has scheduled. And I think, hopefully those will wrap things up. One thing I wanted to share on, there were 5 people notified in references, 2 supervisors, former, 2 colleagues and 1 client. And some of the remarks about her, and I just want to read, these were the ability to develop strong relationship with people was mentioned. She's collaborative and a natural leader. She's able to handle a lot of work, ask great questions, willingly accepted feedback, even critical, and made necessary adjustments immediately. Supervisors felt very comfortable letting her run programs without much guidance from them. Very strong financial skills. Her ethics and professionalism were considered top notch. So these are people who made comments for those who were either supervisor, colleagues, or client, or directly for those references. So,
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'd just like to add, I think that it was a really successful process in engaging the community, engaging staff. So we had staff group, we had community group, and then we had the select board group. I think, and then Woody took the 3 finalists around town and showed them our assets. And I guess I'd say the 3 finalists definitely had a full day, starting from interviews. They did all 3 interviews at the same day, and then had to spend 2 hours with Woody in between. So I just think it was, I'm very appreciative that the town process, and we had all the volunteers to be on the community review team.
I also want to commend the Vermont League of City and Towns for Bill Frazier for leading the process. It was really nice to have somebody taking care of all that, getting the reference checks, background checks. I mean, he really pushed to get it done tonight because, again, as we heard earlier, between summer vacations, July 4th holiday and all that, things were really just delayed, but he really pushed.
Well, we didn't learn about the completion of the background checks until 6:01
Yeah.
tonight, okay? So literally,
Yeah, like-
I didn't think we were gonna be able to move
Announce,
this
yeah.
forward. So there we are. Thanks, Don.
Question?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Lisa Scalodi from the Roundabout. I just, there's people online now listening to, I had a hard time hearing here in the room, and so could you repeat the person's name?
Gracie Zeigler?
Tracy?
No,
Gracie.
Gracie
Yeah.
Zeiger.
Okay.
There's no L in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
And I'll do you a favor, we'll send you a press release.
please do. Also, it might be, a little, one other detail might be nice to tell the audience where she's coming from.
Okay.
What town she's from, what her previous job was that you mentioned, the various.
That's all in the press
references.
release that we're hoping to send you tonight, after our executive session.
Okay.
We can do that.
She was from Iowa, and I forget the name of the town. It was-
Indianola,
Yeah.
Iowa.
Okay. As a town manager role type?
Well, that's all in the press release.
Okay, all right, well,
I know.
well, inquiring minds want to
That's
know.
what, no, when we
Lisa-
want you to know, that's why we took the
No,
time
Lisa,
to
I'm
write
happy
it
to
out.
say, I mean, of the 3 finalists, 1 person was a town manager, and only for their first time, they were first time.
I think she
town
just
manager.
wants to know what Gracie's background
And
is.
she wasn't a town manager, nor was another one, has experience in town
She
management.
has been working in public municipal services. And she's also worked for the Board of Education.
And she has a master's degree in
Yep, she has
public
a
administration.
master's in public administration. So, yeah, I'm very excited.
Okay, we'll look forward to
Yeah.
getting all that other
Yep,
details filled in, thank you.
thank you, Lisa.
Okay, yep.
All right, any other questions? All right, next item is lease renewal of the Waterbury area Makersphere at Gupto Road.
So before we get started, I'm gonna recuse myself from this discussion, because I was on the board last summer and worked with Tom on developing this lease, so I'm out of the conversation.
So before we start with the discussion, I wanna, talk about the fact that the lease renewal, I have a question about the procedural and financial issues of the execution of the lease back in 2025. Just because what was presented to the board was not what was signed. There was a very big omission in the lease, the final lease.
In the letter that they sent?
In the actual lease issued in 2025, it's not the same as what the select board signed. There's a whole missing section that says that the tenant shall maintain insurance to cover the entire building. That was in the initial one that was signed by the select board. The select board did allow for minor contract changes, but that's not really a minor contract change. So that, with that, the expense was then put on the publics, on the voters versus, so it made a big difference, big enough difference in the actual lease. So,
I'm not following you.
so in, let me show you. So,
That the
this is-
insurance.
right, the insurance part of
Requirement was
omitted.
omitted.
Well, they were supposed to send a certificate of insurance
No.
for them, but what's,
So,
What she's saying is that this whole paragraph here that was in the
original lease?
agreement signed by the select board was not included in
the final.
the final lease.
Wow.
It says the tenant shall obtain and maintain throughout the term of this lease a policy of insurance ensuring the building and all its improvements on the property against loss or damage by fire, vandalism, etc.
Do we know what, is that what was voted on?
Yes, that's what was voted on, and it's in the minutes, and it's linked to the actual, this is the form that they had originally voted on. Said it included this right here, and that's not in the final lease.
That's signed. This isn't signed.
No, and the actual, no, this, the one that's signed is, that one, this is the one that's signed. That's what I'm sent to me. And the lease wasn't signed, it was voted on in June, but it wasn't signed until, July 14th, and that actually goes past the 14 days that you're supposed to post it and allow for people to, dispute it. So, I'm not sure.
You're saying that piece of paper that you just had in your hand is what was in the, is what the board voted on?
That they approved at the meeting included that very large portion that's saying that the tenant shall maintain insurance of the building. And I can't.
Is that highlighting something that you highlighted, or?
Yeah, I copied that and highlighted it.
Okay, so it's not as though it's a track change document that they agreed to change or something?
No, I reviewed through the minutes and I couldn't see where there was any change. But again, it was signed on, I think 19th of, the board approved it on, I think the 19th of June. And it wasn't signed until July 14th. And that change was,
Somewhere in that time, right, and we don't know the history.
And
Can you?
currently, no, I don't know anything about that. But I'm just trying to clarify what we're being asked
Yeah,
to,
thank you.
to decide right now. Are we being asked to renew the currently signed lease? And it's just for a year?
there was a rental, yeah. So they're asking to extend it at $500 a month, which works out to be $5,000 a year. For another year, it actually has expired already, should have been done, they were supposed to ask for renewal, I think it's 90 days in advance, and it's already past the actual renewal date. And also I spoke to Woody about what the costs are involved with the property, and at this point, it's the yearly cost, including the insurance that the town paid for, is $5,337.25.
And so there's a $6,000 annual lease payment. How much, and there's another tenant in there. They're not the only people in there.
Right.
What do they pay?
Is that just storage? I don't know.
You know,
No, it's Backcountry Rescue.
Backcountry Rescue's got their stuff in there.
Right, so
Some,
I don't know
I think
that
down there,
the-
probably knows the story.
the Makersphere should not really be responsible for all entire costs of the facility.
So I believe Backcountry uses one garage bay and one office.
And a room.
Yeah, both offices, well, I mean, yeah,
The other question I had, when Woody sent me the insurance, just because that's one of the things that I work with the LCT to insure properties and vehicles. The property is listed as rented to Waterbury Ambulance, not a
Has to
wood
be
shop.
updated.
Right, so I don't even know if that price is right, or if they would have covered it if it had burned. So, it's just a concern, and I think we should move this to another meeting so we can find out more information about it. Because at least it's expired, it's a month to month now, but,
Well, but we still have Makersphere in there.
right, and it's,
So it's month to month,
it's month to month.
Yeah.
so they're gonna continue to pay, but
Month to month, okay.
what are you proposing, Sandy?
That we move this to another meeting until we can find out the information about the changes that were omitted, and making sure that we're okay with DLCT, and, maybe looking at the terms just to make sure that we're okay with what we're getting. I mean, we already appropriate money to them, and I feel like the town should not be paying for them to live basically for free, at least that. So I just wanna make sure that everything, and I love Makersphere, I've been in, but my job is to cover the town, and that's why I'm questioning it.
Right, and so they're more than covering the cost of the bill. First of all, I guess to answer your question, would the board be willing to move this to another meeting and get a document put in place? Woody, you should work with Makersphere to come to an agreement on the insurance item. We should also reach out to VLCT to make sure that it's insured properly and update the insurance records.
Yeah.
For sure. But as far as I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, as far as the rent amount, I agree with you, Sandy. I think that Makersphere is an invaluable asset to the community. And I won't even look at Don saying that. But they're in multiple places, and they're also not the only entity in the building. So I don't think that they should be asked to cover the entire cost of the building.
I think based on even square footage or whatever, but like I said, I'm also concerned about the fact that it's not used for what it's being insured for.
Well, that's what,
a big-
that's
a
the
big-
VLCT
Right.
question, I think, is absolutely appropriate to get taken care of.
And just a side note, it's not that important, but you know, what I do it is, the insurance binder didn't come through with the town of Waterbury on it. So it's
The
not written,
certificate of insurance?
yeah, it's not written correctly.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
So if that could be updated too.
Well, why don't you watch what the work that Woody's doing to get these documents updated and then bring it to the next meeting? Can we put it on the next agenda? Okay,
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Everybody else is.
is that fair, folks?
Should we make a motion to let them continue to use the space until we get this sorted out?
I think that's appropriate, if you wanna make a month.
Yeah, I'll move to allow them to continue on a month-to-month basis at the same $500 per month.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Don's abstaining. All right, Gary, are you still hanging in there? There he is. I kinda wanna turn this over to you, if that's okay.
Sure, I had to figure out where the mute thing was. I'm not used to this.
Thank you so much for joining remotely. I appreciate you taking the time out of your vacation.
Well, I'm just sitting here looking at the water of Island Pond, so it's okay. So the 24th of June, a letter went out to town clerks, the state fire wardens, as well as all the fire chiefs from the Agency of Natural Resources, saying effective July 1, that the fire wardens were no longer fire wardens, and that the fire chiefs in each town, this was passed by the legislature, were effectively now the fire wardens. And the fire warden, myself, can have deputies, which so far I think we're going to be okay. But this is another example of the state passing statutes or rules costing the towns more money without any compensation. The other part of that is that they also, because they don't have to worry about it any longer, they tighten the timelines for all incidents that are reportable. So if there's an incident on state property, the fire warden or deputy fire warden must report to natural resources within 24 hours and also submit the paperwork within 72 hours as opposed to previously the 2 weeks. So they've created tighter rules and less responsibility, but the same authority. The other piece of that is that I find ironic, and I certainly have made a question about that, is that they have excluded all fire pits that are a certain diameter, and that diameter is roughly about the diameter of all state parks fire pits. So anything that's that size and smaller, no burn permit is required. So again, they're concerned about getting rid of all their fire wardens, except for those that may stay on or were already fire chiefs. But they don't want their state parks impacted. So that's been my frustration, is every time there's, and all of you are certainly aware of circumstances over the years, the legislature passing laws or acts in this case, which is the same thing, without any financial backing to it. When I became a fire chief 24 years ago, a little over 24 years ago, I did not want to be the fire warden. I had zero interest in that. The fire warden Charlie O'Brien is the current now deputy fire warden in Waterbury, and Kyle Guyette is the now deputy, if he is going to retain that job, for the town of Duxbury, which I realize is not Waterbury's issue. But they get phone calls from the early spring to the late fall, almost daily and multiple times on the weekends. This is not a job that is typically a volunteer job, if you will. This is a constant job all week and on the weekends. And I think it's unfortunate that, again, that the state has created this problem. I contacted them. I copied the chair and Woody my email, expressing my displeasure and the fact that they gave us 1 week notice. And the response from the secretary was, well, we did communicate with fire chiefs and the fire wardens, and that is absolutely not true. There is a petition going around, I haven't seen it yet, for fire chiefs to sign or not, pushing back on Agency of Natural Resources. I don't know that it's going to go anywhere, but that's the frustration. And I also briefly made a comment to Woody, because he had just come back from vacation, and I totally get it, that I need to talk with him. I think that the town of Waterbury's fire warden should be paid by the town, and it can come right out of the fire department's budget. It's not the amount that I'm talking about is minute, really, and it's within the budget. But I don't think people understand how much work those fire wardens, now deputy fire wardens, put in, not just in Waterbury, but all across the state. It is a constant, multiple phone calls a day throughout the weekend and during the week. So that's my issue. My issue is that Natural Resources did away with something that was their problem and created it a problem for the towns and for the fire chiefs, as well as the now deputy fire wardens if they want to do it. Because if they don't, in Waterbury and Duxbury, again, that's not your problem. If the fire wardens chose not to, or the now deputy fire wardens chose not to do it, there would be no burn permits that I will allow. I am not going to spend my entire week and my entire weekend going around checking these sites and writing up a burn permit. I'm just not going to do it. So Waterbury will become like Burlington and other municipalities in Chittenden County where they just do not issue burn permits. And then we're going to get called and we're going to put them out, and that's going to create hard feelings. But that's on natural resources, and they've created this monster.
Thank you, Gary. I have a couple of comments or thoughts. One, thank you very much for writing your letter to the commissioner. I thought it was very articulate and right to the point and necessary. Two, you said, a minute ago, I think I heard you say compensate the fire warden, but I think you meant the deputy fire wardens?
Yeah,
Okay.
this fire warden is already being compensated, so yes.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure. And then the other
Yep.
question I have is, I thought I read in there that, I don't know how to articulate this. If Waterbury's fire department is the first responder to another community, then that
Right.
community falls on us too, or on Waterbury?
Correct.
So that means like all of Camel's Hump?
It's about 85 to 90% Duxbury. Moortown under contract covers down past the Devlin Road, not Turner Hill rather. I'm sorry. But that puts me as the fire warden for all of Duxbury almost. But the past fire warden for Duxbury, who's on the fire department in Waterbury, is, I think, willing to continue to do that for them as the deputy fire warden for me, because I am responsible. And if he doesn't, then there will be no burn permits issued for Duxbury either, for at least our contract portion.
Other questions?
So I have a comment. It seems to me, and I'm speaking as Sandy mentioned earlier about protecting the town from financial costs. This bill seems like all it's doing is shifting liability from the state to the towns. So as climate change continues and things dry out and there's forest fires, it's going to be the town that has to respond. And if you don't call within an hour, Gary, remember, if you call 63 minutes, then we don't get reimbursed for all the expenses because we missed our hour window. And I have a campfire in the back of my yard. Do I have to go out and measure it, or if I'm liable, if it's 38 inches versus 36? I mean, this seems like it's shifting everything over to town liability from state.
I agree.
And I agree that we can voice our position, and I think we should, and that's why I appreciate Gary's letter to the commissioner. I would be interested to hear what the fire departments across the state are petitioning together to do.
Right.
But,
Gary, have you reached out to Teresa or Tom as to their vote, or I don't know what,
yeah.
and talked to them about it?
Yes.
I sent them each, I copied them in the same email. I did hear back from Teresa. She indicated that she was informed during one of the sessions that all the fire chiefs had been talked with or communicated with, and all the fire wardens, and that just simply did not happen. Tom, I know he's done. I hadn't heard from him. I certainly would be interested in hearing what he knew about it before he got done. So yeah, it's a problem. I can tell you, Waterbury is part of the Capital Fire Mutual Aid Association, and we had an emergency meeting, not about this, last week, but this was a discussion point, and none of the other fire chiefs in all of Capital Fire Mutual Aid had heard anything about this. So they didn't reach out very far.
I do think it's important for our state representatives, senators and representatives to know that fact. And I think I saw you had Andy Perchlik on there. Somebody.
Yes, I'm sorry. I copied all the senators and representatives that cover Waterbury.
Okay. And you did hear back from Teresa? That's the only one?
And Ann Cummings, and she, again, was very much like, I did not realize that people hadn't been contacted.
I think I don't have the words for this, but, that I can say here, but, I do appreciate you keeping us apprised to how this evolves. I think we can make a motion, but I would, I think we should think about compensating the fire wardens, deputy fire wardens, appropriately, and,
Yeah, I would like to hear from Teresa or some of these folks. I mean, just to say, well, they were contacted, that doesn't mean anything. When you vote on something, that's not your main thing, is were they contacted? What's the implication for towns? What's the discussion to have around all this? I mean,
Teresa is actually gonna be coming to our meeting in August. I think it's the 8th, something like that. And so we should be sure to have this on that discussion.
give her a heads up.
Yeah, all right. Roger.
I'm sorry. I made the comment that, we have one for Waterbury and one for Duxbury, but they would both cover each other. So they're both going to be able to issue permits in Waterbury and or Duxbury. I'm going to try and meet with the select board in Duxbury as well and give them the same spiel, because I think they should also help compensate for these deputy fire wardens.
Roger.
I'll move to direct the fire chief to further investigate the possibility of compensating both deputy fire wardens, commensurate with their work on this new agreement, or this new directive.
I'll second that.
Should it be both or one? Do we have any jurisdiction?
Well, he's got to negotiate with the town of Duxbury, and I would leave it up to his jurisdiction as to how best to
So
work
we
it
would
out.
be doing one for Waterbury.
Yeah, but Waterbury, he's being held responsible for Duxbury
Right.
because of the agreement that we have with Duxbury.
Okay.
So I'm just authorizing Gary to go try to fix this to the best of his ability.
I certainly.
Do what I can. I'll certainly try and get on the agenda with Duxbury. I wasn't going to cancel vacation. But I will communicate with them. The fire wardens work for me. I'm the fire chief in Waterbury, and they both need to be compensated, but it would be nice if both municipalities were paying.
Thank you. Yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Enjoy your time up there.
I'm gonna start that as soon as I click this X.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, that's that one. We received 2 letters. No, okay, they're both there. We received 2 different notices of transfer of properties, and there's no action here. I just wanted to get it out on the public record. I don't know if you have any questions about it, but one was the Vermont Land Trust and one was, let's the other one? I don't
The
know.
Wenberg.
The other is, the Gilbert parcel, to become part of the CC.
Vermont Forest Parks and Recreation, I just wanted to see who was purchased, they're the purchaser.
Did you skip over tax
Yeah.
rate?
What's that?
You skipped over tax rate on the agenda?
Oh, I have it at the bottom line, okay, I got the wrong copy.
Yeah.
All right,
That does go up
let me
first.
get mine wrong, I got an old version, sorry. All right, tax rate, thanks Sandy. We need to approve the tax rate. Wes, do you wanna come up and join us? I'm not sure what's posted on the website as of today.
Yeah,
Um,
I posted both these documents that
okay,
That's probably clerk. Posted both these documents. I will defer to Dan, obviously.
why don't you come up too, Dan, the more the merrier. I got too many papers over there. Can we pass this over to Woody, or Sandy, I guess?
This is what, I posted both of them, I pulled this one off the website.
Okay.
Because I just got a motion.
So we need to approve, we need to move to set the fiscal year 27 town general fund tax rate. And then, we're going to, I'm sorry, I need to find my.
That's the final total for municipal, that includes the
I'm not as organized.
veterans exemptions. That's tough. Reach.
Did you get one of these, Martha? I mean, it's listed, right?
Yeah.
Three of them.
I believe you need to set the
I have two
Total
motions that we need to make.
municipal property tax rate there, which is the third bullet.
Third bullet, yeah. 555.
Right. So I don't know if you would like to have any discussion about it, or these are based upon the taxes, the general fund, which was $4,465,744 approved at the town meeting. The grand list is now, where's that? $8,114,265, which generates a tax rate of 0.5504 cents. But it was,
Yep, and then there's some voter-approved exemptions on the grand list, which,
which are the Hunger Mountain exemption and the Veterans exemption.
Exactly,
So the
correct.
tax rate that would be approved is 0.5552 cents.
correct.
Yes.
That's different than what you sent out in the email earlier.
I know,
So we
I
should go
got
with
it when I
this.
walked in the door.
Just to make sure.
And this is our assessor and our town clerk who've put these numbers together.
What was sent
But
out?
what is the same is the amount that needs to be raised and the grand list.
What was sent out earlier, was it the?
It didn't have a 2 on the end.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 5550.
yeah, I got you, okay.
So it went up by 2 10,000s.
Right.
Yeah.
So last year's rate was 0.555, zero.
Oh, 0? Okay, so this year's rate is 5552.
Well, we can't afford it.
I know.
Don't argue, please, Roger.
Oh, look at the Selectboard increase in taxes.
Actually, the town general fund tax rate went down by 0.47%, so that was,
So I would entertain a motion unless there's some discussion that is required. Motion, Roger.
I move to approve the proposed town general fund tax rate of 0.5504, the voter-approved tax exemption rate of 0.048 for a total municipal property tax rate of 0.5552.
Second.
It's on the floor.
Do we also need to approve the veterans exemption and the Hunger Mountain exemption?
I think
That's
you just did.
included
That's
in my
included in
exemption rate.
this approved, okay.
Yeah, the voter approved that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We also want to entertain a motion to adopt a 2% filing fee for late filing of the homestead declaration.
I'll move to adopt a 2% late filing fee for late filing of the homestead declaration.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Thank you. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here to answer that. All right. So we need to order up a little bit. I think we're done with those letters. Dana,
Yeah.
you wanna talk to us about the planning commission letter that you have been working on? And Joe, thank you very much for being here. Maybe you wanna come up too? And.
Come on, Joe, I can't be the only
Doug,
one.
I'd also like to point out that Doug Greason is on as the, Waterbury Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission representative that we appointed in the spring. So we have our Housing Task Force Chair and Dana as Chair of the Planning Commission, and Doug Greason, have been working on, working with CVRPC on the future land use mapping. Take it away, gentlemen.
Take it away. Well, Doug, I'll start and then you correct me wherever I fly astray. CVRPC is doing a regional plan, part of which includes future land use mapping. As part of that future land use mapping, they're designating their recommendations. So it's important to keep in mind that these are recommendations only, not rules that we have to follow. For things like downtown centers, planned growth areas, village areas, and enterprise zones. So sort of like these growth-oriented units. The reason that we're sort of focusing on this is that these future land use mapping recommendations will have an impact on the Land Use Review Board, or LURB, which was created under Act 181 to sort of designate a lot of these tiers, whatever the tier system ends up being. Of note for us is Tier 1, right, where we can apply to be a Tier 1 community, and then some of these Act 250 regulations get designated to us. So overall, that's kind of the context of this, right? So CVRPC makes these recommendations. That has a knock-on effect to LURB and their tier designations. So we've been attempting to work with CVRPC over the past several months to essentially try to say, hey, there are areas within Waterbury that we want to see designated as these recommended growth zones. And we've had conversations with CVRPC in the past, and we said the utility district, water and wastewater sewer service areas, that's really our focus area. Months and months ago we heard, okay, that sounds good. Doug has been tracking this very closely, and Doug has been the one kind of watchdogging. I didn't have eyes on this as closely. So when the first sort of drafts came out, Doug said, hey, take a look at this. We did a quick overlay and we saw that a lot of our utility district was left out of some of these growth areas. And the map that I've showed you guys here illustrates some of that.
Oh, sorry.
Initially, yeah, I don't think we have copies for everyone.
Oh.
There, we got it on the screen now.
Oh, there you go.
It's a little complicated, but the red outline is the utility district. The pipes are shown in green and yellow. And then CVRPC's future land use mapping recommendations are shown underneath that, and the important ones are kind of pink and purple. The green ones, the yellow ones, those are lesser Those are sort of like more lighter density development.
Could you summarize to say,
Yeah.
only because I'm watching the time,
I know.
could you summarize to say that, is it fair to say that CVRPC did not include the areas that the Housing Task Force and
Yes.
Doug and the Planning Commission have been looking at, recognizing in some cases that it might be in the flood area, but we have special flood hazard zoning, and we have, they did not include all of EFUD's infrastructure.
And they did make changes based on an initial round of comment, which we acknowledged in our letter.
Some, yeah,
They then made these changes. They, in our opinion, didn't go far enough.
okay.
And that's what we're calling out specifically here. So all of those call outs with parcel spans essentially say, hey, this is very specifically what we would like to include in terms of your mapping units. This is why. The letter goes into detail on that. Essentially, we're trying to get as much of the EFUD included as possible in this sort of growth-oriented mapping. I'm going to leave it there and answer questions.
You want to add anything?
I have concerns. Can I tell you my concerns?
Absolutely.
Okay. First of all, these land use maps play an important role in determining of the housing targets that are being set by
There you go,
CB.
that's what I wanted to get in there.
I mean, you'll hear a lot of it saying it's population based. It's population based at the state level down to the regional planning commissions. But when the regional planning commissions divvy out their housing targets, it's capacity based. So it's based on these land use areas and the number of acre in the land use area. So just right now, as we look at, as Dana talked about, the latest round that came through, we have a housing target of 200 units over the next 5 years. So simple math tells us that's 40 units a year. That's about 25 to 30% more than what we're currently permitting to be building, right? So it's already, I would say, a stretch target for us. If we were to take all of these additional parcels and just throw them in, it's likely that that number could increase even more, okay? Why do we care? So the state has said a number of times there will be no penalties associated with those numbers, but it's never said that there won't be incentives for towns that reach those numbers. And in fact, if you look at the federal bill that just passed Congress, has very similar measures. Federal money's tied to municipalities that are doing certain things like refining their bylaws and things like that, right? So the state could make grants and other things conditional or at least prioritized by towns which are making their targets, which means we don't want targets that are completely unrealistic for us, okay? So that's why that's important. So I have two concerns about this. One is that in addition to what Dana put here, the Regional Planning Commission has designated certain other areas as growth areas, like up in Waterbury Center, which we never even discussed. I mean, there's no infrastructure up there, we haven't, but they just thought that would be a cool area to put it in, right? So I think one of the things that we need to do is not just say add, but we also need to say subtract. Take these things out, they're just not in our plans as growth areas, right? And that's largely areas that are up in the center, okay? That's one thing. The second thing that I would add or ask is that this reads to me as areas where we could build, but not areas where we should build. And I call into question, I call into question Randall and Elm Street. I call into question Municipal Street because of flood issues. I call into question the state armory because we don't own that land, the state does. It can't be developed, right? So if, Martha, you said at the Housing Task Force that you were concerned that we wouldn't get areas that would be potential for Tier 1, Tier 1B specifically. And Tier 1B really is advantageous when you're talking about multifamily, 5, 10 units or more. Is that the kind of development we see on Randall and Elm? Is that the kind of development we see on Winooski, So I would just, there's some things in there which I would just maybe caution and say, not that you can't put a duplex or an ADU there, that's great, you can continue to do that, but is that the one that we want to be adding that into our acreage against which our housing targets are calculated?
Can I ask, I guess I missed something here. I've been under the understanding that more is better, in the sense that if we do get, I think about it in terms of the future potential opportunities with CHIP. So so I guess I'm really keying in here on Waterbury Center. And so I know this is a pipe dream, I recognize what I'm saying, but if there were a future opportunity to come up with millions of dollars to expand EFUD to Waterbury Center, why wouldn't we want that designated as a growth center?
Oh,
I mean, if it's not designated, then it makes the conversation to look for funding or have a developer come in to do a chip op project if it's not designated a growth area.
so I would say, you don't, it doesn't even need to be a pipe dream of EFUD, right? Because if you look at the proposal down in Waitsfield for chip funding, right?
Yeah,
That is,
exactly.
that is simply, depending on the development, they have a shared septic system. That's the wastewater system they're
Yep.
putting there.
Yep,
But I guess it's the question, I mean, sure, you could designate a lot of areas. The question is, but where do you want the growth to be, right? And I think that that's what we should be targeting here, is where we, not where we could have growth, but where we want growth to be.
well, don't we want growth in the Waterbury Center area?
You
I
know,
thought
but-
that's what the planning commission has heard through their visioning work even.
I mean, that area that, you know, wastewater is one thing, but there's a lot of other infrastructure issues up there with, in terms of roads and things like that. It's just I guess I would say if you were to put a list of the top 5 areas together, would that be on it? And if it's, you know what I mean? If it's not,
Yeah.
if it's falling down, then I'm saying, well, why
Right.
would you want to designate that? And again, if it didn't matter, if we didn't have housing targets, I wouldn't care, right? Just-
Well, so are you saying that the housing targets increase if you include more land?
Absolutely. I asked Christian that during our call, and he said yes. I said, if we do this, will this increase our
Oh, I
housing
missed
targets?
that, I
And he
must have
said
been
yes.
off the phone.
Joe has signaled this before, and to be totally frank, we've been more concerned with this like utility district
Yeah,
than we have been with the Waterbury Center. And we did talk about Waterbury Center in our initial call, and frankly, the logic for including it doesn't fully hold up, in my opinion. It has been expressed that this is one of those growth areas. It's historically developed, it does have water service, you know, it is more limited in terms of sewer service, no doubt, and the patterns aren't as dense as, you know, this downtown area. You know, but we definitely called into question the inclusion of that area under some of these future land use mapping designations, because we're being told that certain areas that are served currently by water and sewer are not suitable for these growth-oriented designations because of like pedestrian access and things like that. However, Waterbury Center, which is not served by sewer and also faces pedestrian and access challenges, are being designated. So the logic breaks down a little bit as far as I'm concerned, but we were relatively agnostic in this letter and map on Waterbury Center.
yeah, but I think, well, from my perspective, I'll be very honest, and I'm only speaking for myself, is I did not appreciate that the percentages go up as you increase the parcels.
Yeah, more capacity,
And
but they look
that's-
at their more capacity. They were giving a set of targets and they're dishing those targets out by capacity. Who has the most capacity?
That, yeah, well, 40 is already, I mean, I hear you, we're not doing 40 as it is. If you're adding all these, I mean, I don't, I hate to send you back to the drawing board, but I'm a little nervous to be increasing housing numbers
But I
more
think-
than.
But this to me makes sense.
Right.
Like, if we're gonna increase
Let me just hear
anything.
what he's gonna.
No, because I think during the call, and
I was
Dana,
only on that call for the first
Right.
half hour,
and,
so.
and Dana laid out why the Blush Hill area should be included because
Okay.
of the infrastructure, because of the work
Yep.
that was done on the bridge, et cetera, right? And they pushed back against it, but when we asked them about Waterbury Center, they said, well, you know, they basically had no good justification about why they included it. And I'm not talking about the center around the green, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
Which is also very questionable about additional capacity there because of, not only because of the sewer system, because of the backup septic systems up there. I'm talking, there's a northwest area that's adjacent to 100 that they included. That's the area where, my feeling is, the area that Dana proposed is far more suitable than that area, just about there. Put this area in, but take that area out, and it should be a net wash on our housing targets. It should be, I haven't calculated the
Right.
exact acreage, but.
So Doug, do you have anything to add to this? And then I think we've got to open it up to questions to the board.
Yeah, the housing targets are created based on numbers of acreage eligible, number of acres eligible for the tier 1 category. If you increase the acres that are eligible for tier 1, the housing targets go up. The housing targets are not enforceable, and are the process that created them was staff meeting a statutory requirement to disaggregate a number which was initially generally agreed to be quite high. So the question is, if you want the potential economic development benefits of more land being eligible for tier 1 at a cost of an increased housing target, where does that trade-off take you? What's more important? My gut is that a slight increase in the housing targets, which are already probably unattainable, is okay if there's perceived value in having more land eligible for tier 1.
Board, questions? Roger?
Yes, I am bored. No.
Oh my God. A little slow over here.
Doug, I'm wondering, what's your perception of the perceived economic value, increased economic value of having more acreage?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna punt on that one. I don't think I have a good sense of what the economic development side of this discussion is. I know that that's been a driver for the Planning Commission in these discussions, that if we have more areas that are tier 1 eligible, it gives us more potential flexibility in the future. So to me, that's a good thing. I think that personally, I think the housing targets are going to be changed next year or the year after. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not sure they will be. There's a body of research that says the underlying assumptions for generating those targets was based on a straight line projection of a really high growth period, and that the methodology underneath them was flawed. And I don't know if we'll hear more about that in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
So the request is to get support from the select board for the letter that was shared, that Dana, the planning commission drafted, and all have participated in putting together. What's the board's pleasure?
May I make one more comment?
Yes, please.
I sit on the Regional Plan Commission. I'm the vice chairman. We've been dealing with these quotas and tier requirements for the last year. I think Waterbury's requests are sound, and it's to Waterbury's benefit if they can get agreement from the Regional Planning Commission to make those changes. That would be a good thing, and I'm looking forward to signing that letter if the select board decides to send it.
So I'm very sensitive to your concerns, but I just want to make sure I have it clear that the concern is increasing the acreage increases the housing numbers, not.
So that's one concern.
That's the primary
but
one.
Right, the other concern is these things have legacy, for example. So if you wanted to take out, like, you go to Waterbury Center, where the green area is in the Grange, right, that area around there, and say, you know what, they're small lots, there's no way we get sewer there, we're struggling to figure back if we want to take that out. You can take that out now. The state mandates that any former village growth areas be actually included into this. So CVRPC couldn't take that out if they wanted to, right? So you gotta be careful with what you're adding in because you're creating a legacy here that might come back and bite you in the future some way, right? You know, so I'm saying we as a housing task force, the planning commission might be different, right? But if you're not certain that that area up there along, Waterbury Center is gonna be, we wanna develop that, we wanna grow, we wanna encourage developers to go there, I would say you might want to be cautious of it. I just take it out. I'm not saying don't add what David's putting in, right? The only thing I would question is the armory, because we don't own the land for development, right? But
Well, I guess the other question is, so the planning commission's gonna finish their town plan, and then they're gonna go on to phase 2 bylaws, which is going to definitely address the Waterbury Center area. Can you change these growth centers at a later date? And based upon so what I'm basically saying is punt the Waterbury Center area until you complete the bylaws. And if the bylaws, through your public engagement, advocate for more housing in the Waterbury Center area, then it would be time, I think you can go back to apply to LURB and change it at that time.
You can propose new areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting issue because, again, CVRPC is only making recommendations. And Joe, I hear what you're saying in terms of the legacy effect. And also the acreage increase having an impact on housing targets, right? Us being allocated more housing targets. I think the way that we've looked at it is we're increasing opportunity to do more things locally that we might want to do. And if we don't want to do them, we don't do them.
Right.
So that's kind of the way we've approached it. Yeah. You've given me something to think about here. We don't have to apply for that area as tier 1. If they map it out as this growth area, we could, should we so choose, and then we would be more aggressively directing development there, potentially.
Right.
We don't have to do that. But I hear you again, it's like if our housing targets increase because of that acreage.
So the ask then comes down to
that.
whether you make the request now. First of all, this letter is really just sort of a request, and none of it could happen.
Right.
But I did encourage the planning commission to put it in a formal letter and ask for the housing task force and our representative to be on board with it. Because I think it makes a stronger statement and a cohesive message is being sent. And it's founded on the future land use and the priorities of housing in Waterbury. And so, in some ways, I think, personally, I think it's good to get our sentiment in writing to Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. And again, it could end up in the wastebasket for all we know, because my experience, they had a 1-hour call with their planner people. I was only on for the first half hour, and I felt like it was going nowhere. I was very disappointed in the flexibility and communication. And which is one of the reasons why I encouraged them to write the letter and get our words in, so that we have a history of building a case. May not go anywhere. Roger.
I'll move to authorize the planning commission to adjust the letter for greater agreement between the commission and the housing task force.
Can you guys do that?
We can do anything.
And then that would authorize the select board to also sign it.
Mm-hmm.
Or come back with a.
Or you want them to come back?
Yeah, whatever you.
Is there a timing thing here?
It's a Doug question.
Yes, it's there.
Oh.
July 23rd is the LURB's review of the initial regional plan that CVRPC staff will be attending. I plan to attend that as well. So it would behoove us to have it in place before June 23rd. I don't know why directly, but it would make sense to. July 23rd.
We meet on the 21st.
Would that give you enough time if we approve it the 21st for the?
If it goes into them on the 22nd, is that too late? Probably. Yeah, who knows? I mean, can we authorize them to work together? I mean, I
Yeah,
think
that was
they-
my proposal.
the
They work it out and send the letter.
Okay,
Right,
that's
and
good.
send the letter,
Just
so we're
checking to see.
approving that the select board would sign it,
Mhm.
all right?
Process for the, I mean, we obviously talk, we redraft, and then we just
Send it
send
to
you.
me and I'll sign it.
Great.
I
Okay,
think that's what we just motioned. And was that seconded by Don?
I didn't second it.
Oh, I thought I heard a second. Oh, we're there.
I went to discussion.
Yeah,
before I
any
seconded.
further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you guys for putting this work in.
Oh,
Thank you, Joe. I
Um,
learned something.
Is there text of the current letter anywhere?
Yes, I can send that.
Actually, it's posted.
Is it?
It's
Yeah, I didn't, what is it
Oh, no, it's
posted
not posted.
as?
It's not.
It's,
posted.
no, it just came in
It's okay.
today.
Okay, yeah, so
It's not
as
in the
long as it's
packet.
posted on the site, I
Right.
can just link to it. That's
Right.
great, thank you.
It's gonna be modified, so make sure.
Right,
it
but
says
the
draft.
original
Yeah.
discussed tonight should
Yep,
be.
no, that's fine. Yep,
Actually, I have a sort of follow-up question for the board
okay.
related to that. I was just gonna ask it after the meeting, but the VLCT and CVRPC are hosting a sort of regional select board, city council meetup thing on the 30th.
Yeah,
Was anybody planning to go to that?
I kind
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate your chiming in here.
You bet. Thank you.
I was thinking about it.
I was thinking about it too. It
Yeah,
might be a
it
good
just
opportunity.
came, so I haven't figured out.
Yeah.
I gotta see. I don't think I can do the 30th because the wedding is
Yeah.
first. I gotta come, so I know I.
All right, so we're
I'm busy that
through
morning.
our agenda here, CBRPC. July 21st, we have the town board, the recreation, you did confirm state police was gonna
Yes,
be there?
they've assigned a new sergeant to us, and he
Yep.
should be here.
You want to, also, remind Bill Sheplek that he's gonna do a budget update?
I will.
What did you say?
Oh, they used to assign us a lieutenant, now we're getting a sergeant.
Well, the lieutenant's on it, but he has designated the sergeant to be our.
We're being.
We're being demoted.
That's what you get when you start looking at the competition.
I'm just glad they're coming in.
Right, yeah, that's good.
All right, anything else on the agenda for the next meeting? I would entertain.
Actually, I have a question, if we could add to the next meeting, because I've gotten a lot of calls and emails and people stopping me on the street about the Better Connections area, and I wondered if maybe somebody could come in and give an update, maybe where the survey's at, because.
Why don't we have Katie or Duncan, see, if I think Duncan might be traveling, but.
I'll
one
be
of-
there tomorrow night, I can mention too.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
great.
perfect.
Then I can just let all those people know that they need to come to that meeting.
Yeah, there's a thing tomorrow night,
Right.
at the Triangle.
Oh,
Yeah, we should
So
all
I
go
can
down.
have a talk to them.
Which they didn't tell me about when I asked them to keep me posted on events to communicate.
Cut off on our fingers.
all right.
I might at this point.
Can I entertain a motion to go into executive session?
For employment.
You need the language.
It's just the second one, it's the employment one. We don't have to do the.
Okay.
Key.
I move that the select board for executive session for employment.
You didn't hear
purposes.
that.
I'll
I
second.
knew you meant.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Does the motion include that we have Woody in the first half attending?
Just said employment purposes.
Okay, and we invite
We
Woody
invite the,
for the first half of it.
Acting,
Yeah,
uh,
you have
municipal
to
manager.
include that.
Oh,
You gotta-
okay.
Yeah.